So you want to color grade on the Sony ZV-E10? Well, you're in luck because this video right here was actually shot on the Sony ZV-E10 and color graded. I found the workflow that works best for me, where you can dial in your edits, you can make it look just how you want it to. All of the resources to do this are going to be linked down below, and this is specifically the color grading part of my whole short form course on how to edit premium short form content. So if you haven't seen that already, click right here. I'm gonna go ahead and talk to you from a different video and show you how to do this color grading. So we're going to go ahead and color grade this footage. Let's start off by creating an adjustment layer by clicking this little square in your media bin. You can think of an adjustment layer like a piece of glass, or like people say, rose colored glasses. If I put a pink lens in front of the camera, everything in front of it is going to be pink. And if it's blue, everything is going to be blue. In the same way, whatever effects that you place on the adjustment layer, say the adjustment layer is moving, everything behind it is going to move. So we're gonna make our adjustment layer and name it color. Next, let's open our Lumetri scope window and put it next to our effects controls. Here we can see what's called the scope, the RGB parade, and the waveform. We're not really gonna be using the waveform, but the scope is the most important one because it's gonna show us where our skin tones are. We're gonna wanna place our skin tones right here in this little line. Next, let's go into this tab called Lumetri Color. And what you'll see is these tabs starting with basic correction. We're gonna do one at a time so that each step of the color grade is gonna naturally build off of each other. We're gonna start by adding what's called our base light. I'm using something called Rec 709 because that is for Sony. But something that you can do is also use the base LUTs that Premiere Pro gives you in this dropdown. Let's duplicate the Lumetri Color effect on the adjustment layer, reset it by hitting this little backwards arrow, and then make all of the next adjustments on that one. So on this new part of the color grade, we're gonna start with the white balance. We do this by going to the white balance dropper and selecting any white that may be in the video. This may be your teeth, a wall, or if you want to bring a piece of paper with you when you shoot, you can put it in front of your camera before you start. Next is the basic lighting, and if you're using your own footage, do it to your liking. For my footage, I'm going to up the exposure slightly. I'm gonna add contrast, I'm gonna drop the highlights, the whites, and my shadows. And once we have a look that I like, I'm gonna move forward. Make sure that you're going slowly and making these adjustments just how you like them. That was basic lighting. Next, we're going to fix the skin tones. So again, duplicate the Lumetri Color effect, hit the reset button, and this time name it curves. Go into the creative tab, and if you have a creative LUT, you can add one here. Here is an example of a Fujifilm style LUT. And I recommend, if you're going to use the ones that are already in Premiere Pro, drop the intensity to something like 50 or 25. It'll give you a much more natural feel so that it doesn't look like you just dropped a random LUT onto your footage. Now that that's off, let's go to the curves. The primary curve is where we control our lighting. The left side on the bottom is going to be black and the right side at the top is going to be white. You've probably seen the famous S curve where people bring it in from the left and make it look like an S, making the blacks blacker and the whites whiter. It's a good technique, but we're gonna do something differently. So firstly, make these 3 points and ever so slightly raise the middle one until you get the look that you like. All right, sweet. That looks amazing. Now we're gonna go into the color, which is these 3 graphs. And the goal here is we're going to make our skin tones look natural, because if we look too green, then we're like the sick emoji. And if we're too pink or orange, we could look like an Oompa Loompa, or we could look like a ripe cherry. So because we know our skin tone is between red and yellow, let's make these points on hue versus hue and hue versus luma by clicking these lines. Now you may be asking, how are we gonna focus on just my skin tones when we have this huge frame? And the answer to that question is we're going to use what's called a mask. So go to your clip, go to the opacity, and use this pen tool to create a triangle on your cheek or wherever you see a patch of your skin. Then set the feather to 0 so that you have a sharp edge on your mask. Our skin tones look pretty good right now, but let's touch them up a little bit. Let's raise the first curve until the line is a little bit more to the right. Then the saucy touch is getting to that second curve and bringing it down. Especially if you have a darker skin tone, this is gonna make sure that your natural color is popping. Okay, so we worked through those 3 steps of the color grade. Now is for my personal favorite part, which is the creative, where we're gonna make the colors pop. I personally don't touch up these wheels that much. In my videos, I go to the basic corrections and I crank up that saturation and I make the tones more warm. I also raise my tones to be a little bit more pink, and then I go to the vignette section and add a vignette around -2. I'm a big believer in leaning in to a certain type of look. I like to think of famous movies like Matrix that leans into green, and Euphoria that leans into being very saturated. A lot of big productions don't play it safe with the colors and they lean into a certain feeling. Next, I just made a quick adjustment to both my top video, making it a little bit brighter, and my bottom video by making it a little bit darker. This way they can both look really similar in the lighting. So there we go. We have the 4 steps of our color grade. And if there's any specific one that you want to change, you can go back and look. You can check your base LUT, your basic correction, your curves, and your creative. Guys and gals, can you believe that? You just did the color grade, which is something that a lot of people say, oh, the color, oh, this,
Pretty
that.
fantastic, am I right? Well, if you want more where that came from, I would click right here for the full course on how to edit premium short form content and get that crispy look on all of your videos. Peace out. God bless.